YouTube, it's Nikki from Nikki Lilly. So for today's video, I'm going to be doing a Q&A / advice video. So think of me as, I mean, we are already besties, but think of me as like your best friend that you're asking for advice or asking a question, or your sister who you just need some help with. So I asked you lovely people on my Instagram. Make sure to follow me on Instagram if you haven't already. It's a fun time and I'm nearly at 300,000 followers, which is absolutely insane. So I asked you over on there to send me in some things that you need advice on or some questions, all to do with high school, as most of us are either back at school or about to go back. I'm about to go back, so by the time you see this, I would have had my induction day for school, which I'm so nervous about, especially as I'm starting sixth form. I feel like I talk about me starting sixth form in literally every video. It's literally become like a trend in every single video, but you know, I'm excited for it. I'm excited for all of the outfits, even though I know literally after like the first month I'm just going to be in tracksuit bottoms every day. But I feel like this is quite a fitting video to do because I don't know about you guys, whether you're going to work or school, but I literally have forgotten what it's like to be in like a school environment or a work environment. Why do I say environment? Environment. Some of the questions that you guys sent in, I was like, that's such a good question. Wait, actually, what would I do? Like, I've literally forgotten what I would do in certain situations. I am very nervous to go back, but I'm excited for the new start, the new chapter. I got more questions and advice bits from you guys than I think I've ever got for like a Q&A, and I think it is because we're all in that same boat of like forgetting how to do certain things or what we would do in certain scenarios. So I hope I can help you guys out today. Also, I am going to touch on my book, which comes out in less than a month, which is absolutely insane. Hang on, how many days? How many days away is October the 1st?
23 days.
23 days. Oh my goodness, in 23 days, less than a month, my book comes out, and I have a whole chapter dedicated to school and everything from toxic friendships to periods to crushes to picking GCSE options, literally everything, making friends, school checklist, what to take with you, what you need for school, what you don't need, lunch ideas, literally everything. I've got you covered. So that is just one of the many chapters that I've got in my book, and I thought it was very fitting for this video and has a lot of the advice that I'll say in this video. So make sure to pre-order it if you haven't already. So the first question I'm going to answer, and one that I got a lot, is how to cope with, or how did I cope with constant exams and exam stress. I'm not gonna lie, I really struggled whenever it was exam season, which feels like literally every single day at school in year 11 and probably will be the same in sixth form. I had quite a few mental breakdowns where I was like, how am I gonna do this? How am I gonna learn all this content? And I often felt underprepared. But truth be told, you will never feel prepared. You always feel like there's more that you could learn. You've probably heard this before. It's really important to revise smarter and not harder and for longer amounts of time, because that's not always the right way or the constructive way to learn. Because I had to do so many subjects for GCSE, what I did is I found basically a revision and exam timetable to print out on Pinterest, and I found those really useful because then I was able to break up my time from when I got home from school into different subjects that I was going to be revising, because often we will just revise one topic for the whole evening when we actually should be revising a few topics and like spend an hour on one, half an hour on the other, which is more like revising smarter, not harder, and making sure that the time you are spending on it, you're really taking the time to do what you're doing and making the most of that time. So I found that when I split my evenings up into doing a few different subjects, I found that more useful. And I think it's also just trying to start early, so when your teacher says there's a test in 2 weeks, don't wait like till the last day before your exam to start revising. Make sure that you are aware there's an exam, even if you're like, oh, it doesn't count towards anything. I think this year it shows you that, you know, your mocks and the little exams you do throughout the year do make a difference. They counted towards my GCSE grades, and it always helps, I found, when I use a lot of colour and things like that in my revision, because it's just a bit more I don't know, I feel like I take more stuff in when there's colour on the page and things like that. But I think it's also really important to take time for yourself and try not to get too stressed. Obviously exams are important, but your mental health and your health overall is more important. You don't have to revise every single day. You are allowed to take times where you have a social life and you do something with your friends, or you just have a day at home where you give yourself some TLC and have some time to yourself. Just try and be as organised as possible. So I had different folders for each subject, and yeah, I think it's really important to take every day as it comes with revision. And if you are stressed or if you don't get something, please ask your teacher. That is something that I only did within like being in year 11. Before that I was always too scared and didn't feel comfortable to. But ask your teacher if you are stuck on something you're learning, because it will make such a difference when it comes to revising that topic for an exam. The next question slash advice thing is advice on what to do if you start your period at school. So this is a really good question actually. I don't know if I've ever covered this. I didn't start my period at school, but I've obviously had quite a lot of periods from when I started my period. I've been on my period a lot while I've been at school basically. I think as soon as you start secondary school, or even before that if you've not started your period, because obviously you can start at a whole range of ages, I would make sure to carry around a sanitary product with you, whether it's a pad or a tampon or something like that. I think a pad's easiest, especially if you're first starting your period, whereas a tampon's a bit harder to navigate and they scare me a little bit. So I would try my best to just take a sanitary product with you, whether it's in your school bag, or it may even be better to put it on the inside of your blazer pocket, just because it means that if you do think you've started your period and you need to leave your lesson to go toilet, you don't have to take your bag with you, you can just go to the toilet. And if you forget, it's totally fine, don't worry about it. Me and my friends are always asking each other if we can borrow a pad or something like that. I know at my school, and I don't know if it's compulsory, but I think most schools carry sanitary products as well. If you are a bit scared, speak to your friends, or maybe you can ask if one of your friends could go with you to the nurse and maybe you could ask for a sanitary product. The idea of starting your period at school is a lot scary. Your head makes it to be a lot scarier than it actually is. Yeah, it's totally fine, and as soon as you have your first period it will feel like, what was I worried about? Because it just becomes something that happens every single month. It will become less and less daunting every time, and you'll just get better at knowing what to do when you're on. Okay, so the next question I've been asked that I'm actually really bad at myself, so someone needs to give me advice, is how to talk to your crush. I don't know if it's just me, but I literally just shut down and go like into a shell when I speak to boys in general, especially if they're my crush. I just shut down. I don't know what it is. I think it's like a self-confidence thing. What I would say though is I think it's really important to show that you're interested in your crush, you know, you're interested in what they're interested in, and you're also interested in learning about what they're interested in. When I have previously had crushes on people, I try to learn about what they're interested in, but also ask them about that, because it's also another way of making conversation. And I know that you're probably really nervous. I am so nervous talking to boys, especially if I like them. And I think it's super important to just not stress and try your best to make it happen as naturally as possible. If you're in a lesson together or sit next to each other, if you're doing group work, then try your best to speak to them and ask them questions and find ways of naturally bonding and talking to each other. I think it also helps if you're able to become friends, because then obviously you learn more about them and you're able to bond further and get further to becoming more than friends. But I also just think it's about self-confidence, and that is something that I really struggle with sometimes, especially with boys. I always doubt myself, but self-confidence is definitely a thing that makes you stand out. And so if you are able to go up to your crush and start speaking and directly talking to them, then they'll also really appreciate it. Even though obviously it's nice to show common interest and interest in what your crush enjoys and their hobbies, it's also super important not at all to change yourself because you feel like your crush would like you more if you look a certain way or act a certain way. You need to make sure that you are yourself and that you stay true to who you are and don't change yourself just because you feel like your crush would like you more. And if that is the case, then they shouldn't be your crush, because who wants to have to act differently in front of someone they like just so that person likes them. And I think that is something that I've learned throughout the years, is that when I was younger I was always trying to act differently to who true Nikki was, because I felt like people would like me more, especially crushes. But actually I've learned throughout the years that everyone has their own personalities and all look different, and why would you want to act the same as other people? The world would be so boring if we all looked and acted the same. And so I've learned throughout the years that it's so important to stay true to yourself and not change yourself. Just try and put yourself out there. I know it's super hard, but if you don't, you'll constantly be wondering what if. And I think we always make situations bigger and overthink situations in our head, when actually a lot of the time they aren't as scary and aren't as bad, and the things that you think about, the worst case scenarios you think about happening, don't happen. And it's always important to take that leap and put faith in yourself. Also, if you are actually lucky enough and your friend knows your crush or is friends with your crush, then it would be worth asking them if they would mind introducing you to them, or just mentioning you in a conversation, because it just helps break down that nervous and awkward barrier. They know who you are, you've had that initial awkward, you know, introduction, and then that's it. Alrighty, advice on how to pick your GCSE options. Basically, I think it's super important not to get swayed with what your friends are doing, because a lot of my friends, when they first chose options and started doing those subjects, they realised that actually their heart wasn't in it, which, I mean, I did subjects and my heart wasn't in it, because you still obviously have to do some that you don't want to. But I think a lot of people are swayed by what options they're doing with what their friends are doing, because obviously, you know, you want your friends to be in your lessons, you want to not feel left out in lessons, and you want company in lessons. But actually it can almost work out for the best when you don't have your friends in your lessons, because I found that in business, which is one where I didn't have any of my friends really, and also in food tech where I didn't have really any friends, I actually did more work and probably excelled in my potential more than I would have if I had my friends in those lessons. And don't get me wrong, I love my friends, and I'm so glad that in some lessons I have them, like history, where I needed help with knowing what I missed and what I needed to catch up with. But in those lessons in business and food tech, where there's a lot of content and writing, it actually worked out best that I didn't have any other distractions around me, like my friends. Even if you feel like you don't really know what you want to do, which is totally fine, it always helps if you have some kind of idea of what you're interested in, or you feel like you would like to learn more about. So for me, that was business, and obviously food tech, I already had like an interest in it, so it only made sense to further pursue it and do it as a GCSE. And you also learn about nutrition in food tech, and I've always been into like healthy eating and learning more about like the different vitamins and minerals and protein and things like that in each food, so that one made sense. And then business, also because of kind of the industry that I'm in, like social media and stuff, business just made sense, and it also is something that you can literally apply to daily life. And then I did history, which, I mean, I didn't really enjoy. I found it really interesting, but I wasn't very good at it. And so I think it's really important to not just take subjects that you're naturally good at, take subjects that you're also interested in. You'll further want to revise them, and you'll further be more interested in listening in class and writing all of the notes. You have that time from September to get your feel for the subjects that you've chosen and change them around if you feel like you want to. Next question is, what would you recommend taking for school lunches? So I actually have packed lunches at school, I just prefer it, and I've never, do you know what, in primary school I really like the school dinners, but in secondary school I've just not really been a fan. I feel like in primary school dinners are elite, and then secondary school it goes downhill a little bit. So for packed lunches, for things you can take to school, I try and change it up every so often, because you don't want to get bored with your lunch and just like get stuck in a rut eating like a cheese sandwich every day. It's fun to add a bit of flavour into what you're eating for your school lunch, even if it is just school lunch. So for snacks, I like taking in popcorn, I like taking in like fruit, whether it's dried or fresh. I really like going to Planet Organic, which is like this healthy supermarket really, and I try and get some snacks from there. So I might take like some energy balls, because I'm always lacking energy. Sometimes I will take muffins in, so sometimes I bake like healthy muffins and I'll take those in, which are a nice snack or something for lunch. I try my best to be as healthy as possible for school, because school's kind of when you overlook what you're eating, and I think it's one of the most important times to eat healthy because you're using up a lot of energy and a lot of brain capacity to remember all of the stuff that you are and to revise and take in all of the stuff that you are at school. So I try my best to eat healthy, but then I take in like the bakes that I've been making. So I'll take in like a whole box of cookies that me and my friends will share at lunchtime. You can make lunches fun. What are some of your favourite / most memorable moments of being at school so far? I have had a lot of memorable moments. I don't really have one that sticks out, but I think it's obviously if I do well in a test, that's obviously like a big memorable thing, because it just, when my teacher also says like you've done really well, it's something that always stays in my mind because it makes me really proud of myself. But also I feel like within the past year I've really found a friendship group at school who gets me and vice versa, and who I feel like I can really be my true self around. And so I feel like that's just one of my favourite parts from being at school, is that I really feel like I found like my group of like people who I can be myself around at school. Since I have found those people and I found my girls and like, you know, my group, I definitely feel like all the things that I go through and all the memories I have are just better. I feel very grateful to have a good group of friends. Up until year 11, I often felt like I wasn't really being myself around people as much as I tried, because they just weren't my people. How do you grow apart from a friend without hurting their feelings? This is a great question, and I've actually had to go through this I had to go through this in like year 10. So I was really close with a girl from year 7 to year 10, and she was basically like my best friend, and we kind of became best friends because we had no one else, so it just made sense to become friends. We were there for each other, we were just really good friends to each other, but I think over time we just realised that we were very different people. So we began to basically like see cracks in our friendship, and they'd kind of been there for a while. But I feel like in year 10, when we were both very stressed about revision and stressed about GCSEs and had our own stuff going on in our own lives, that we kind of realised that we weren't right for each other. And we're still friends, but we only really speak at school. Other than that, we don't really. Like you said, try and leave a friendship without hurting the other friend's feelings, because there is just no need for that. And so I think it's just really important to show that you are showing a bit more distance, so they're kind of getting the idea that you're slowly drifting from them, because that's more what you want to do, is you want to slowly drift from that person, then just cut the friendship off. That's the worst way that you could handle a friendship or a relationship for that matter. Maybe you even just have a chat with them and you just express how you feel. I really struggled with that, because not that it is confrontation, but anything where I have to express my feelings and I feel like it will upset the other person, I'm really bad at, because I don't want to upset people's feelings. But if you are able to and you feel comfortable to, even just speaking to a friend about it and just literally saying, I don't know about you, but I just feel like recently our friendship hasn't been the same as it has been, and I don't think that maybe we're right for each other as friends, and I don't know if we should stay friends or, you know, keep hanging out with each other at school, because I don't know if it's doing either of us any good. And just be honest. I think honesty literally is the best policy, and it may hurt their feelings a little bit and it may hurt your feelings a little bit when they voice their opinions, but at least then you're on the same page. You've got a mutual agreement, and when you see each other you can be civil. There's no bad blood, there's nothing like that, and it's just the mature and right thing to do. Okay, I am just about to start school, but I'm really nervous about making friends. I really struggled making friends when I started secondary school. I don't know if I've already spoken about this. I definitely go more in depth in my book, but I really struggled when I first started school. I think I found the fact that I looked different as a massive barrier for me in being able to pluck up the courage to speak to people and get past that first awkwardness. And so the first year, really, the whole of year 7, I was super sad and really struggled. Over time I have come out of my shell and people have got to know me now, and like I said, I've got a really nice group of friends now. And what I have learned over the years is, firstly, it is so important to put yourself out there. I know it's so much easier said than done. Even if in your head is saying don't say it, don't say it, don't say hi to them, don't say hi to them, they're going to like think you're annoying, they're not going to think you're cool. Literally, you have to just tell that voice to be quiet, and you have to just in that moment say hi to the person sitting next to you, or say hi to the person that passes you in the hallway that's just started school as well, or say hi to the person that's in the same club as you or in the same form as you. You have to take chances and say hi to the people and just introduce yourself to the people, the new people that you see, because otherwise you're always going to be like, what if, you know? Actually, I have one of my closest friends I became friends with through debate club, and I never thought I would find a friend in debate club, but I thought it's a good way to maybe find other people who could be your friend but don't have similar interests to you. But then that's also a good thing, because it gives you a different thing to talk about and a thing for them to kind of educate you on and share their interests with you. And so there are so many ways to make friends. I actually have conversation starters in my book, so things that you can say to initially break down that barrier of introducing yourself to someone. You can literally just say, oh hi, are you nervous about starting school too? Because majority, if not everyone, literally everyone is nervous about starting school. Please don't worry about it, and yeah, just try and maybe join a club or speak to someone in a lesson, or use a sentence starter that's really easy, like some of the ones I mentioned. What A-level subjects are you taking? So I'm at the moment, sorry, this chair is so fun. I'm at the moment taking English literature. Why was I about to say psychology, photography and business? So I'm definitely going to be doing photography and business, but I'm just not sure about the English literature. So that's it for this video, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know if you would like a part 2, because I can definitely do it. There were still so many questions, so if I haven't answered your question, I'm sorry. There were so many, and I wanted to make sure that I properly covered each question and didn't just kind of like half answer and give you guys like enough advice to actually help you. So I wanted to make sure that I actually fully went in depth into everything. But again, you guys know that I love to ramble. I love you guys very much. If you are back at school, then let me know how it's going in the comments below, or back at work, let me know what's changed, if you're doing okay, how you've been, what you've been up to. I have a sixth form, like high school haul coming soon, where I'm going to show you some of the clothes I've got for sixth form outfits. Make sure to smash the like button if you would like to see more videos from me and like this one. Subscribe if you haven't already. I would love if you subscribed and stuck around and joined the Nikki Lilly family. And I love you guys very much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye everyone.